The Middle of the Pack podcast.
Especially road running. Like I think road running we can get really caught up in times and speed, pace, and self-promotion where if you're helping somebody out, I mean that's just an act of kindness. And that's I feel better about that than trying to get like a goal or something like self-serving.
And that's John Calabrese, our guest for this week. And this is a wild conversation. He goes from the extremities of being a totally soft, caring dad, caring runner, where he pushes people around courses, to being a wild ultra runner. We'll start off the conversation where we're talking about Thanksgiving and turkey trots.
It is the biggest running day of the year.
Oh,
I know
really?
everyone, yeah, I know the perception is that it's like the Boston Marathon or any of this stuff, but no, it's Thanksgiving because there's turkey trots everywhere, all over the place. Like every town has a turkey trot.
And is that like a 5K or is it a...
It's a 5K, and the cool thing about it is that it's not just like your average runners that are out there. You got everybody, people that don't run, people that are going to be walking the whole thing. So it's kind of cool seeing, everybody out there, not just your average runner.
And is that before or after the big meal?
So generally it's before. I know there's some weird ones that take place at night. I know there's some going on at night tonight, but it's interesting because there's like elite runners that will try to do as many possible to win them because some of them have like huge prizes. Like the one I'm doing tomorrow, I think it has like a $300 prize. That's a lot for running. I mean, for a
Yeah,
5K.
yeah.
Yeah. So what they'll do is they'll make a strategy where they hit up all these different ones and then they go home with like, $1,000 or whatever.
No food, but loads of money.
Yeah, well, I mean, some of them give you turkeys and stuff, so they might be getting some turkeys and pies also. Yeah, it's kind of a cool day. You got running, you got a feast, and you get to watch, sports all day. So like, it's kind of for me, it's kind of like the best holiday ever because I love sports, I love eating, I love running, and it's like it checks all my boxes. I love Thanksgiving. It's my favorite holiday.
Brilliant. So what is the day job, if you have any?
So I'm primarily a dad, and basically I don't have a career, but like I base work around like my daughter's schedule. I've bounced around a lot of different jobs. I've been a caregiver. I've worked in sales. So like I want to say I'm somewhat in between caregiving and sales right now, but like I don't know. I once my daughter gets older, I want to get something more stable. But yeah, like if you look at my Instagram, I was working with a gentleman named Donald. He plays soccer with his wheelchair. His dad pushes him on
Yeah,
races
yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah, so like that's how I got into caregiving. I met him and his dad at a race, and yeah, like I kind of fell in love with that. But as my daughter's growing, older and getting into her own sports and dancing and stuff like that, I don't have as much time. So like I'm in this weird period right now where it's hard to find a job that will cater to the hours I need to be available for my daughter.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, it's tough. Like this is like kind of like one of the hardest parts of my life in terms of like employment because it's been tough, man. I mean, family is the most important. Kids are the most important thing. But at some point, you do have to make money. Also, you can't survive without it. So that's been hard. That's been a hard element. I'd rather be running. you know,
Well, at least you still have running, though. That's something that definitely keeps us all going, doesn't it?
keeps you sane, man. It keeps you sane. I wish I could make that profitable. If I could do that, then everything would work out. It's a very tough gig. You have to have a lot of personality or be a very fast runner. And like I'm kind of mediocre at both. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that.
So no turkey trot prizes for you tomorrow, then.
Well, I'm pushing my buddy in a wheelchair, like going back to like being a
Yeah, yeah.
caregiver. Yeah, so like my buddy Liam, I'm gonna be pushing him. I don't know how fast we're going. So I can push, the Angel Riders pretty fast. We we got an age group award at the Richmond 8K. I got 31:31 on 8K, which isn't bad for, pushing somebody, a grown person in a chair.
And is there an entry fee for the turkey trot, or do people just turn up and like a park run here in Ireland? Or
No, unfortunately, I wish it was like that. Actually, they're kind of turkey trots are kind of expensive because they give you a medal, they give you a shirt. And I think part of it here is like people want to wear the shirt after like to their dinner. They're like, oh, I got my turkey trot on today, and that's cool and everything. They want to wear the medal, so I think some of it has to go to that, and then also, of course, to pay for the elites, the prize money because that's what attracts like the
yeah,
the
yeah.
premier talent and stuff like that.
And do you have to pay two entries or one entry?
So I didn't even think it's sometimes like what happens when I pay for races, I don't know I'm going to be pushing at the time, so I'll just purchase it, and then they would have given me a discount because if you push, they like to help you out for doing that, but I paid for it ahead of time, and it was cool, But yeah, a lot of times like they do comp the entry or at least like give you a discount for, pushing somebody because it's, a really cool service and you're
Yeah,
letting
yeah,
somebody experience the race they can't run. So I think I find the most joy in doing that over, you know, especially road running. Like I think road running we can get really caught up in times and speed, pace, and like, self-promotion where if you're helping somebody out, I mean, that's just an act of kindness. And, I feel better about that than, trying to, get like a goal or something like self-serving.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the the point of the podcast is to just celebrate everyday runners, ordinary runners, and time is never really important. And the fact then that you're doing an added bonus of helping people out and giving joy to someone is just fantastic as well, because yeah, not a lot of people can do that or would have the patience to do it either.
It makes me happy. And like what I try to do is, I try to inspire others to want to do that also because yeah, a lot of people just don't know. It's really not that much different than regular running. The chair, like people have a perception that chair makes it harder and stuff like that, but not really. I mean, going up hills, yeah, but I mean, I don't know. Like I just I find a lot of joy and I try to spread that around so other people can, experience that. I always tell people at least try it one time and give, the rider a good experience and then, most of the time they'll come back, because it's hard to say no after you do it one time because it's so much fun.
Absolutely, yeah. And you do ultra running as well, don't you?
I do. Like speaking about humbling in time, yeah. So like I've I'm not like an elite runner or anything. Like I mean I've had some fast marathon times and stuff like that, but with ultras I had some faster ultras this year, but I have never figured out like running fast on a 100 miler. I think it's like very humbling. It's a kind of like a weird journey. It just especially if you're up for like, multiple days, it's just, you start hallucinating. It's a weird experience. And like when I feel like for me, like when I do get to run a shorter distance, not on like technical rocky terrain, I can, I could have more fun on it and I can go faster and I want to go faster because I can. But yeah, I feel like the ultra it's like kind of like a weird thing. I don't even know why I enjoy it just because it's so brutal and hard and you're out there forever. But yeah, I do it and I don't know, somehow it just kind of like levels me out, man. It's hard to explain. It's almost like a therapy session because you're by yourself in the woods in the dark for large chunks at a time, or like, you're with a friend talking stuff out. I mean, you get a lot of stuff solved out there. It's really weird.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. How do you fuel during all that then?
Oh, so I'm glad you bring that up. It depends like how I'm trying to approach the race. So like this weekend at JFK, I ran that probably the fastest I've ever ran an ultra. I ran 50 miles, oh, a little over 50 miles. I think it's like 50.1 or 51 miles, I think, or a little bit under 51. I ran that in like about 8 hours, 5 minutes, I think. And for that one, I was eating constantly as much as I could when I could. I was eating a bunch of like Welch's fruit snacks, just like a lot of pickle juice, a lot of salt because, I didn't want to like cramp up or anything like that. Soda. And then at
Pickle
an aid
juice.
station towards the end, they made me eat red velvet cake. I was just like, all right, I'm doing this. And it's funny because like it just summed up perfectly. Like people were cheering me, going through this aid station eating cake. And I was like, this is the best sport ever. I'm getting cheers for eating cake. Where else can you find this? It's wonderful. This is a wonderful sport. I love it.
Just back up a little bit there because pickle juice, that sounds like
Yeah.
kind of the
So I would not drink that for recreational purposes. I know some like pop stars and musicians because like, they do a lot of dancing and stuff like that. They'll put it in their soda, like a little like shot of pickle juice. But when I'm doing it like an ultra marathon, just to keep salt in me so I don't cramp up or anything like that. Like if I know I'm low on salt, I'll just take shots of pickle juice. They have them at the aid stations here. So like it's not fun, but like I'll chase it with like a soda or something like that or some Gatorade and it helps, it's so like some people take the salt tablets,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
I
yeah.
yeah, I'll pickle juice like people think I mean like I don't know like I can do either of them, but some people just don't like taking the tablets or the chewables. So like, anything that's available, I'll take. But if they have it at aid station, I'll definitely take the pickle juice because it's quick. It's disgusting, but it's quick and you can get out of the way really fast.
But when we're doing marathon training here, there's always this, if you're taking gels, if you're taking anything, salt tablets, whatever, try them out before, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
in your training. Obviously, pickle juice to me sounds like a big red flag that you'd need to be trying it out. Right.
So it is weird. The taste is pretty bad, but I feel like it's one of those things that even if you had to do it just race day because you were like desperate for salt because you were low or something, I don't think it would really mess you up too bad. But the taste is it's pretty tough. This is another funny one. Have you ever drank V8 on a run before?
V8?
Yeah,
No,
I've
don't
drank
even.
that before. Like it's funny how you find this stuff out too. Like I was just like dying at a race, and it was like in the middle of like summer here, and I was completely like depleted. I was very low on salt. I hadn't had any salt for like 30 miles or something. And I got to an aid station. They're like, drink this V8, you'll be fine. And I was like,
What?
what? I thought they were
What is it?
crazy. It's like tomatoes. It's like tomato juice.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, super salty. It's just like yeah, so like I drank a whole can of it and like within like I want to say 30 minutes I felt great. I was like that's the best stuff ever. So like it's so that's one of the funny things about ultras, just finding out what works for you and for your fueling. It's always an adventure with that stuff. I feel like I find out something new just out of desperation because I'll be like messed up on a race like so bad. I'll just throw a Hail Mary, man. I'll just be like whatever, I'll do whatever I can do to like see if I can pull out of it. And it sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, yeah. It sounds like just for anyone listening, don't try this at home. But
Or if you have to try it,
yeah, 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 yeah,
you might do well over it.
yeah. So to explain the journey of going from, well, 100 kilometers or 50 miles, whatever you're doing, you obviously built up to that. I'm sure you didn't go out and with a load of pickle juice and V8 and start running.
So I don't try this at home. Like this is a really dumb thing I did. So I went from basically 5Ks to marathons to ultra marathons. Just I had a lot of stuff going on in my head. Like I was going through divorce and just like a lot of mental health stuff. And that's not a, that's not a good exchange for therapy or anything. Don't think it is, but it helped me, just like that's why I like doing the ultras and stuff like that. I just needed something different to, spend my time on, that was positive. I didn't want to be in the bars or anything like that, because there's nothing really positive you're going to find there, especially like, when you're already struggling with like divorce and stuff like that. It's kind of a dark,
Yeah,
you don't, you want to, add something that's got to be a positive that will distract you from that. So I got into running and I've never looked back, man. Like basically after I did the marathon, I felt sad. I was like, this is over. I trained all this and it's over. So got into trail running and then just real quickly got into ultras. Like I want to say like I did a marathon and then I started dabbling to ultras. And then the next year I was starting to do like try to do 100 milers. And I struggled a lot. If you look at like my results and stuff, I didn't finish a lot of 100 milers when I started. I mean, I still have issues now, but I like doing messed up stuff out there, man. Like really hard races up in the mountains, technical stuff. I fail a lot, but I've succeeded more than I failed, and I've had some real fast times this year. It's so crazy because like I feel like I'm in better shape now at 45 than I was when I started at 37. I don't know how that's possible. I guess just I'm more messed up now. I don't know what it is, but it's working, man. So there's that.
yeah. So maybe you are just getting, maybe you're at your peak now.
I'm glad I didn't quit because yeah, I feel like now I'm getting the benefits of like a lot of that suffering and like, dropping out of races and stuff like that. But
So do you do a lot of strength and conditioning and training, or is that a silly question?
so I'm glad you asked that. The first, like, this is, how can I explain this? Okay. So my first year running, I didn't. I was just running straight up. And then my second year, I started getting injuries. So I started doing like a little bit of PT on my own and stuff like that, push ups, core work. And then basically I went on autopilot around COVID. I stopped doing all that stuff and just ran. And then after I was done running, I would just hang out with my daughter all day. That I spent the most time I've ever spent with her during 2020. I know like for a lot of people, we had different experiences, but it was amazing for me. Like I did the most running I've ever done. And then coming out of that, I was that's when I was probably in like I was in really good shape then, like at least for like BQing and stuff, like qualifying for Boston and stuff like that. Because yeah, I got my fastest marathon after 2020, but I didn't do any of that core and conditioning. So like basically this last year, I got like in 2024, I got really hurt. Like my hips were messed up, had knee problems, and I was just running through a lot of it. And I got to a point where like I couldn't run for like 3 months. I had to just do a complete start over. I started lifting weights, cycling, swimming, and it was rough. I was so sad I couldn't run, and like I'd see my friends running, or like people that I would be faster than in the past just smoke me on races. I was just like, and I'm not like super competitive, but just knowing that like it's tough knowing that in my head like I can't think about past performance. I have to be in the now, and I have to get myself right. I can't think
Yeah,
about
yeah.
what I did in the past, and that I that works in anything, not just running, but you can't live in the past. You can't think about past performance. That will doom you in any week of life, but any walk of life. But so I just basically committed myself to the gym for like 3 months because I mean, like, when you're doing all that stuff, it takes time. And I
Yeah.
think I got so used to just going out, outside, out my front door and just run, and it was convenient. But you have to drive to the gym, and then you have to make time around that. But what I'm trying to do moving forward is still keep doing all that, do the PT, do the core, all that gym work, but not as much, of course, because if you're training for ultras, it's hard to and that's the hard part about it. Unless you're like a professional athlete and get paid to do that stuff, it's so hard to balance that out, like with a kid and trying to work and stuff like that. So that's probably the I have the most respect for, like, single dads that are ultra runners, because or just single parents, I'm sorry, that are ultra runners, because that's like it's so much work to get that in, and not,
Yeah.
to stay injury free and to get in that at work and to be able to do the ultras. It's just I don't even know how I do it. Like people ask me how I manage my time. Like, I don't even know. I just I just try. Anytime I see a window, I just try to like do what I can, and it's been working so far. But it is hard. It is a hard balance.
So you definitely have a wild life that you describe in your Instagram.
Yeah, yeah,
And what
yeah.
about the dancing dad bit? Is that just
Yeah. So that's another thing too. My daughter has competitions, and yeah. So like wow. So like here in the States, like basically like a lot of race registrations open up a year in advance,
yeah,
and the dances and stuff that my daughter does, like that opens up like sometimes 3 months before. So like I have to compromise on that too a lot. Like I'll be signed up for a race and just have to cancel, or going back to the significant other thing. Like if we're signed up for a race, I might not be able to run it with them, and then they get angry. It's really tough. Like a lot of times I feel like, I'm the bad guy here, But I
yeah,
mean, like, it kind of sucks that, and that you should never feel that way when you're chasing a dream. Like I feel like if you're with somebody that thinks that you're the bad guy like that for chasing that, that's not the right person. But you still have to make sacrifices, especially for like kids and stuff like that. So like, it sucks having to like eat a race fee, like basically, and not be able to do a race. But at the same time, I love watching my daughter dance, and that's more important. And as much as I want to be out there thinking about, like, being on the trail, or like, the marathon or whatever, my daughter's dance is very important. I got to be there for her.
and is she doing well at that, or
Oh,
is it?
she loves it, but I mean, 11 is a tough age, because like, school is hard. She's doing a lot of different stuff, and like right now, you know, I wish that she could find a school, or I wish there was a school nearby that she could just do dance and school at the same time, because like she's very committed to dance, and she's always like at her dance academy. And I feel like it does take away from school also. It's harder for her to, like, live in both worlds. I wish she could just do it all together, but I think that's her biggest challenge, because she doesn't want to take anything away from dance from school. Like she's definitely like, I feel like she's more involved with dance than school. And she's a smart kid. She loves school, but she's so dedicated to dance, like kind of like I am with running. So
Yeah, yeah.
maybe I'm a bad influence like that. She can see that how much I like running, and she puts that into her dance. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, like, we love, my family loves sports, and that's just, how we are. I mean, like, and don't get me wrong, I try to promote school as much as I can, but like, I've always like wanted to be an athlete. I've always wanted to, just push it, and, be out there, being a wild person, eating all the food, running all the miles.
And is there within the kind of swapping from kind of turkey trots to ultra running, is there a massive shoe rotation needed, or is it like,
Oh yeah. So I'm very lucky. So I'm a shoe reviewer for Believe in the Run, and so I get to write reviews for shoes. And luckily, like, they help me out, because they know how much I run. That's how I became a reviewer. Like, they know how much I run, and I do all the races around here, so they let me do that. And yeah, if it wasn't for them, I mean, I don't think I could even like afford to do this sport, because, or at least run the different races that I do, because yeah, I mean, like, it's so specialized for, like, the road versus the trail, and then certain types of trails, the technical terrain versus like non-technical. Yeah, I owe them like everything. So like, I'm not, like I said, I'm not like a sponsored athlete or anything like that, but I do have some hookups like that, like Believe in the Run. But I'm real lucky to have connections like that, for not being like, just being kind of like a more average type of runner.
so that how does that work? They send you shoes, you try them for a period of time, and then go, yeah, they were great.
Yeah. I'll write an article about them with others, and we'll just kind of dissect the shoe, and I'll talk about like what I used them on, what type of trails, and or like if I rode used them on a race, and it's fun too. Like if I get a review and I have like a 100 miler coming up, I'll just randomly wear a shoe that I've never tried before on the 100 miler and just tell them how it was. I like doing stuff like that. I think it's fun, and I'm pretty flexible with the shoes that I use. I mean, you know, the only thing that scares me about using a shoe on an ultra is just like the fit. If I know the fit is really like tight or anything like that, or just doesn't feel right, and I'm gonna blister, I probably won't do it. But for the most part, I'm pretty flexible with whatever shoe I want to wear for a race, because it makes the review kind of an adventure too, because like I'm doing something new with it, and there's a story. I just like making a cool story out of it.
And was there one particular one that stood out that you went, wow, that was brilliant? Like
So this
shoe.
year I reviewed a shoe this year, the Craft Explorer Pro. It's a beautiful looking shoe, very flexible. I used it here on the 4 state challenge. Like basically you start on the Pennsylvania Appalachian Trail, you do all of Maryland, and then you go into Harper's Ferry, West Virginia, and then you go into Virginia. So you hit 4 states and I think like 44 miles. I wore the shoe on the whole thing and it was awesome. No blisters. And if the shoe feels almost like, I mentioned this in the review, I could run 100 miles in it, or I could do like a sub 25K. And like honestly, I think that's what I've always wanted with trail shoes. Like I feel like a lot of times they're either too much or too little. Like the lugs
Yeah.
are too big. It's like a soccer cleat, like, or it's like not enough. The Explorer Pro is like kind of right in the middle, so like actually feels comfortable to run in. Even if you're on like technical terrain, you're not going to fall. It's just the perfect amount of grip and everything, so it's not too clunky. But at the same time, it just feels like an all-around shoe. It kind of like morphs to whatever you want it to do. So I had a good time running in that one recently. That's my favorite shoe of the year so far.
And what are you wearing for the turkey trot?
Ooh, so that's the thing. Like, I like the Asics. What's it called? There's a carbon plated Asics that I've been wearing. What is the name of that? Oh, I can't remember.
Metaspeed.
Yeah, there you go. Metaspeed. Yeah, Metaspeed Edge. I don't know what it is. Like that shoe is incredible. I love that shoe. I've been wearing it on a bunch of my faster road races. Yeah, I've been wearing that one. I love that shoe. But for JFK, I wore a pair of Hoka Rocket, yeah, Hoka Rocket X3s. Those are incredible too. I wore those. So like the JFK is broken up into three different sections really. You do road, you do the Appalachian Trail, which is kind of technical. I mean, you can I saw some people eat it there, and because it was wet, it was kind of like slippery rocks and stuff like that. But then also you're on the towpath, the Sino Canal for like a while. I was scared about wearing these carbon plated shoes the Appalachian Trail because it's technical and there's no lugs at all. I slipped a little bit here and there, but for the most part, that shoe was amazing. Like I said, I got 8 hours and 5 minutes on the 50 miler, and yeah, a lot of it is this, my training, and then that shoe was just so nice. So it's amazing the shoes that are out there right now. Like all these carbon plated shoes. I like the technology now from when I started running in 2017. It's incredible. I mean, like we've seen kind of just like going from non-carbon plated shoes to like what we have now is just like what an evolution. I can't believe that just seeing what's changed in shoes and like these faster shoes now. It's incredible. But
I think
I wonder also though, like I wonder like how much if like if we didn't have that, what I could do with the shoe, like just the shoes from back then. I wonder about that a lot, like how much of it is just hype, but I don't think it is hype because I mean I posted some really fast times, especially recently, but again, I wasn't working out like I am now when I first started running, so it's just interesting to think about. Like, is the body, what's the driver here? The shoe or the driver or your body, or the combination? Like, what really
yeah.
matters most? I will say this though, like like that Metaspeed. I mean, just wearing that or like those Hokas I was wearing over the weekend, they're so comfortable and just like the bounce to them. They're definitely an improvement over the stuff like from the past. But yeah, I feel like maybe back that like when I look at old school races, like old school JFK footage or like like Badwater, like the Badwater doc from like the 90s, when you look at that stuff, I feel like they didn't care about the shoes as much. They just worked really hard. They worked really hard in the gym and stuff like that. So like I feel like they were the shoes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe
I
they were
am
the
the
one.
carbon plate.
Yeah, yeah. I know. And like you see older footage and they were just wearing canvas shoes, like, and you're just thinking,
Yeah, like Prefontaine, like looking at those old school, like the original Nikes and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah,
Incredible. It's
yeah.
incredible.
So what's your plans for next year? What's the big,
Well, real quick, I'm not even going to next year yet. I've got a lot of stuff coming on this weekend. So I'm doing I think a 27-mile run in Shenandoah on Friday for Black Friday. But then check this race out. On Sunday, I'm doing something interesting. We're doing the Taco Bell 50K. You have to go around Washington. Yeah, you have to go around Washington, D.C. and hit all the Taco Bells. And there's required menu items. So you have to bring the receipts from every Taco Bell, the wrappers from every Taco Bell, and if you don't have them, then you don't finish. So and to even like spice it up a little bit, I'm pushing some friends in the racing wheelchairs. So like we're it's gonna be a big party. We got two teams. We got Catherine and we got Mikey, and we're gonna eat a lot of Taco Bell and do a 50K around DC.
So just give me a quick example of what menu items you have to eat during this
Like
race.
Crunchwrap Supreme, like that kind of stuff. So like we have a crew that's going to be with us to make sure that the chairs and everything are okay, and just to help us out. They're going to get that stuff ahead of time for us. So they're going to be managing the menu for us to make sure we're eating what we need to. But you're not allowed to use Tums or antacid or any of that stuff. That's performance enhancing. You can't do that. You can't. They don't want you to eat anything else other than Taco Bell. You have to fully sustain off Taco Bell on this race. So this is and the kicker is this. I think as of right now, there's over 1,000 runners doing this.
Oh,
It might be
wow.
the biggest 50K in America, like this year. They might have the numbers that the Taco Bell 50K is going to be the biggest.
But that's like protein and carbs and everything. It's like again another
Oh,
recipe of
there's gonna be some upset stomachs. Let me tell you, there's gonna
yeah,
be
yeah, yeah.
some people are gonna have a bad day, but I'll be all right though because I run so many ultras. I think I'll be okay. You have to have that's the thing for running ultra marathons. You have to have a cast iron stomach. Like if you can't constantly eat and put in calories, and sometimes like stuff like that, you have to eat, because it's out there. Yeah, you just got to be able to do that.
But there's definitely going to be some kids that are just doing that for the crack and be
Yeah.
a mess
Oh,
halfway through.
there's gonna be some soiled britches. Let me tell you, man.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Oh, jeepers. And what else are you doing? Did you?
So I'm also going to Shenandoah on Friday. We're doing a pretty nice trail race with my club here, Vicky's Death March. That iconic trails in Shenandoah. So I'm doing that. And then I've got a 100-miler on December the 6th. So that's like what? That's like next week, right? I'm all out of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got a 100-miler then. I haven't finished a 100-miler this year. I've had a lot of struggles, like I said, getting healthy. So I'm hoping that I can get this one finished. This is the Devil Dog 100 in Prince William Forest, Virginia. Hopefully I can get that done and I can check that off for this year that I finished a 100-miler. I've done them in the past, but like I said, this year I had some struggles with like a breakup and just like trying to get healthy. So I'm hoping that I can get that knocked out.
So no tapering for you. It's just constant go, go, go.
So for me, I do a lot of races every weekend, but a lot of my recovery and stuff is in the gym. Like, I just kind of like during the week, I kind of ease down. I don't do a lot of miles, and then I do the stuff on the weekend.
Listen, it's been a real roller coaster of an episode. I didn't
That's what
expect.
I do, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You described yourself as a wild life, but in there's the sensitivity of being a caring dad and someone that pushes people around races. That's very admirable as well. But there's a lot of crack, as we say here as well. Bit of fun.
I try, man. It's
Yeah,
life's too short. I try to have as much fun as possible. I don't try to stress out too much about it. But again, I do try to give back as much as I can to the community and take care of my daughter. That's important also, of course.
yeah, yeah. That's really admirable, and it's been a real pleasure talking to you. And thanks again for taking the time on what is a really busy weekend for you.
It is, but I'm glad I could come out and talk to you, man. I had a good time, a good chat.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks very much. And that's John Calabrese. What a wonderful conversation. And I just love that mix, as I said at the beginning, the mix between the caring, the carer, and this wild runner that's involved in ultra marathons. And as you heard, eating pickle juice and red velvet cakes and all these weird things that I certainly wouldn't try when I was on a race. So I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly did. We're here every release. The show's here every Wednesday. And yeah, tune in on your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on all the social media and like and subscribe if you would, please. So I do hope you enjoyed this week's show. We're here again next week, so join us. And for this week, Thanks for listening and keep on running.